it's Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. All right, Bears fans, we are back for yet another pregame show, Week 12 against the Minnesota Vikings. And once again, I am joined by Isaiah Fry. How you doing, Isaiah?
I'm good. How you doing?
I don't know. I don't know anymore how I'm doing. Really, I don't know. You told me before we hopped on the podcast that my reaction was priceless, and I think that was all Chicago Bears fans because we finally had those guys, right?
Yeah.
We finally had the Green Bay Packers beat, and the Chicago Bears did Chicago Bears things once again, and the field goal got blocked. Take me through your instant reaction of that loss over to the Packers.
Watching the game, I'm watching Caleb do his thing, which was impressive, by the way.
Right.
How he got him down there was impressive, and I think everybody should be excited about that.
Yeah.
But when it happened, I wasn't surprised. It's like it was one of those things where it's just like, damn, again.
Yeah.
We always find a way to lose, man, and
Yeah.
it did surprise me. So, we can get to it a little bit more later, but yeah, I just wasn't surprised about it.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things at this point is that you're just numb to it. Like as a Bears fan, we've had so much heartbreak, not only this season, but just against the Green Bay Packers. I was making jokes to some of my family members. I was like, I can count on my hand like how many times we could have easily beaten the Green Bay Packers, but they just always get the upper hand. They always find a way. And it was just yet another disappointing loss. But you did bring it up that Caleb Williams, he definitely has that clutch trait, something that we haven't seen in a long time in a Bears quarterback. And I just love the confidence throughout the whole game, right? Just him yelling at the sideline, hey, I want to go for it on fourth down, just having that confidence. Right. And then that's also a huge shout out to Thomas Brown as well. What a day for his first time being the OC for the Chicago Bears. He really impressed me, and so did Caleb Williams in offense.
Absolutely, man. Thomas Brown did a great job, especially it being his first game calling for the team. Sometimes it takes some time to get a rhythm with the players that you have, but it looks like he had ideas in his head the whole time while this season was going on, and you could tell. And shout out to Caleb, man. That looked good. That third 19 play was impressive. That was a very impressive play. And, we all know what the season is this year, man. We don't expect to make the playoffs this year, but watching him do that, it should excite Bears fans for the future.
Yeah, it's encouraging. I think from here on out, I think we understand that our playoff hopes are very slim.
Right.
They would have to win out at this point and probably get some help as well. But that shouldn't be the main focus for Bears fans at this point. The main focus should be Caleb Williams and his development, right? And I think I heard someone, I think it may have been Rex Ryan on the show the very next morning. He's like, you know what? That was actually a win-win for the Chicago Bears because you saw your rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams after these past 3 weeks, he wasn't looking so good, right? He had a bounce back game against a very good Packers defense. And you lost. And he's like, I know that's bitter. You lost to the Packers once again, but that means Matt Eberflus is one game away or another game away from being fired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So as a Bears fan, I know it hurts right now, but you have to take positives away from that.
Absolutely. And we can get into Eberflus a little later, but I just didn't like the way he managed the game at the end. I think he could have did a lot of better things to put his kicker in a better position to make that field goal. Yeah. But, at this point, man, it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, there's so many little things that he could have done better. But once again, just add that to the list of blown leads in the fourth quarter.
Right.
We can go down a rabbit hole as well with the Bears defense. I feel like they played good, but they kind of let me down as well. At certain points in that game, just giving up big chunk plays, and they just didn't look like the same unit. Obviously, they're dealing with some injuries, but I don't really take that as an excuse. But I think overall, I'm just really happy that the Bears, once again, look like they have a quarterback. And obviously Thomas Brown put Caleb Williams in positions to succeed. So I'm really looking forward to see what they do for the rest of the season, because that's my main focus, is hopefully Caleb Williams balls out for the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And as Bears fans to know, Thomas Brown's interviewing for an offensive coordinator job, obviously not for Chicago, but elsewhere. And, he's going to do his best to make sure that the product that he puts on the field is going to be good, man. So the development of Caleb, man, is going to be important to him, and it'll continue to get better.
Yeah, fun fact, actually, Isaiah, and this is probably going to make you a little bit upset, but he actually did interview for the Bears OC job prior to them hiring Shane Waldron.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
So that makes Matt Eberflus look a little worse, that he came out in 1 week and made Caleb Williams look really, really well, really, really good, and he didn't hire him from the get-go.
Did you see? They showed a reaction of him? Did you see his reaction to
Yeah,
one of the play? Yeah,
I love that. That's the kind
yeah,
of juice they were missing, right?
yeah. But it looked like it was like I told you so, like almost like I told you so. Y'all should have hired me in the first place. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was overdue. That's what I took from it at least. Maybe I'm wrong, but
You know what's crazy about it is that it's still Shane Waldron's playbook, right?
mhm,
But they were just executing better. And I think the reason why that is because he holds guys accountable, right?
right.
Shane Waldron, Keenan Allen even said it prior to the game against Green Bay. He said that Shane Waldron was just too nice, right? He
Mhm,
didn't hold players accountable. He wouldn't get in your ass, right? But Thomas Brown's the total opposite. He brings the
right.
energy, he brings the juice, he holds you accountable. And like even like those screenplays that we hated, Isaiah, right? The little quick screens, the DJ Moore, those plays were all of a sudden working against Green Bay at a high level just due to because everyone was doing their jobs. And that's once again kudos to Thomas Brown.
Right. When I became a player, what Coach Hoke actually taught us, and it's very evident. It's a copycat league,
Right,
and every offense actually runs the same things. They just window dress it. That's all it
right,
is.
right.
And I'm sure he has his own nuances to the offense of what he thought would work, and he applied them, and it worked. But yeah, I think he was able to gain a rhythm of the game
Right.
and put Caleb in positions to make easy throws and make him successful.
Right. So, obviously the big storyline right now is, the job security of Matt Eberflus. And then, obviously Ryan Poles is being discussed as well. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more before we go into our pregame show against the Minnesota Vikings today. And there's actually kind of like rumors and reports, kind of starting to spiral around in Chicago that Kevin Warren is actually making a short list just in case, which I think everyone at this point knows that Matt Eberflus is probably done in Chicago. They're not going to fire him midseason. They're going to let him finish it out. It is what it is at this point. There's no reason to fire him if you're still losing anyways, right? But now there's reports and rumors coming out of Chicago that Kevin Warren is making a short list, and then some names on that list is Mike Vrabel, the ex-Tennessee Titans head coach, and then, of course, Ben Johnson. Obviously, when you look at Mike Vrabel, I guess the rumor is that Kevin Warren wants someone with experience, which makes sense. I think they're tired of going into the rookie head coach category, and it's not working out. So obviously Mike Vrabel does come with experience. He was 54-45 as the Tennessee Titans head coach. He kind of reminds me of kind of like a Dan Campbell type of guy. Just really holds players accountable. I think he would be a pretty decent head coach for the Chicago Bears. And then, of course, we all know about Ben Johnson, what he's been able to do with Jared Goff and, the Detroit Lions offense. But then there's some kind of like underlying issues with Ben Johnson. You need to make sure you have a good offensive line. And for his offense to succeed here in Chicago. And then, of course, there's also been rumors about Ben Johnson making sure that the ownership is good as well. And obviously the Bears do not mark off that list if they were to try to go get a guy like Ben Johnson. So when you hear this rumor of Kevin Warren kind of already creating a list, what is your reaction, and what's your reaction to his top two candidates so far?
I like both of them. I think they're both well picked by him. I think either one of them would be good candidates. If I had to choose between the two, I think I'm going Ben Johnson just to go to the offense side of the ball. We're doing the defensive thing right now and it's not working well.
Right.
And watching what Ben's doing in Detroit is amazing because they're rolling right now. So, like you said, it's going to take some time to kind of get that train rolling how it is now because they need to revamp that offensive line.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, I'd pick Ben Johnson. But Mike Vrabel's a good choice as well too.
Yeah, do you kind of understand where they're coming from in terms of trying to maybe look for someone with prior head coaching experience and maybe not going to the rookie head coach route? Because obviously, Ben Johnson has been an outstanding offensive coordinator. I think pairing him with Caleb Williams to get the offensive line figured out, I think he would be an outstanding option, but he doesn't have experience as a head coach at the NFL level.
I do to an extent, but I'm under the impression that a lot of these assistant coaches that haven't been head coaches now, a lot of the stuff that they need to know as a head coach is self-explanatory to me, at least. It's just football knowledge, stuff that you and I can speak
Yeah.
about, just managing the game, making sure that you call the time at the right time,
Yeah.
making sure that you put the ball on the right hash that your kicker likes kicking from, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, in my mind, it wouldn't be that hard. I don't know why, not hard, but I should say it wouldn't be as hard as they're trying to make it. I would still go with Ben Johnson just because I'm sure he'll figure it out on the run.
Right. And I know that Ben Johnson wants to be a play calling head coach, which
Right.
that's why we would hire him. Once again, I think you have to show the best interest for Caleb Williams as well. And, he's the most important thing for the franchise. So I think Ben Johnson would be at the forefront. The rumor made it pretty well known that, Kevin Warren he really likes Mike Vrabel. Like he's his number one, and then Ben Johnson would be number two. I'm pretty sure that changes just due to the fact because you're talking about Caleb Williams. Once again,
Right.
Vrabel does have great experience, 54-45, went to an AFC championship game. He was 2-3 in the postseason, so he has postseason experience. He's a really, really good head coach. I think he just left the Tennessee Titans because it was just at that point it's run its course, right? So I think if they're looking for someone with experience, I think he would be at the top of my list. But if you're looking for like an offensive mind, obviously you have to go with Ben Johnson. Obviously, there's been also rumors about maybe the possibility of the Niners maybe firing Kyle Shanahan. Maybe he would come into the fold. Who knows?
Right.
But it's going to be really interesting. But it all starts with if Ryan Poles and the Bears actually want to fire Matt Eberflus at the end of the day.
I mean, that's no question. Go back to the Vrabel thing. I think the thing you have to ask yourself the question is, what's his formula to winning?
Right.
And looking back at his teams in Tennessee, his formula to winning was ground and pound. You have Derrick Henry back there,
Right.
giving him the ball 25, 30 times a game and, kind of, take the air out of the ball. So, I mean, if we ask that question, is that a good formula for Caleb?
No.
Yeah.
It's very he's very Dan Campbell-ish to me.
Yeah,
if you really
right.
ask me. And I personally don't want to go down the defensive head coach route. I think it needs to be an offensive mind, even if you go get Cliff Kingsbury at the end of the day. At least he has the connection with Caleb Williams. He's an offensive mind. Obviously, Washington is kind of struggling, right? Once they played a good opponent, their offense wasn't as effective. But I think it has to be an offensive mind because you have to put Caleb Williams first before anybody in the Bears organization.
Absolutely. I agree.
So it's going to be a really intriguing off season for the Bears. We're going to have a lot to talk about on this podcast. But like I said, I think Matt Eberflus's days are numbered. I think they're just allowing him to run its course and finish off the season. Before we move forward, do you think Ryan Poles is safe for at least one more year?
No, I don't. I think these last couple of games will determine a lot for his future.
Okay.
Depending on how he operates. But no, I don't. I think he's made some decisions that I think at the time he thought was going to be slam dunks, and they're not, and they're getting exposed right now. So I think that's going to, weigh heavy on the decision made in the upcoming weeks.
It's gonna be really crazy if they're actually a package deal, and he did double down by keeping Matt Eberflus, so that's not good on him, especially when you had guys like Jim Harbaugh that would have probably easily loved to be the Chicago Bears head coach, right? Didn't even interview him, right? So that's definitely some malpractice on his part. It's absolutely insane, and obviously with Nate Davis, Chase Claypool, Bayless Jones Jr., just multiple misfires. He's done a lot of good as well, but does the good outweigh the bad for Ryan Poles? And that's going to be the question that the McCaskey's family and Kevin Warren asked to answer by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, to me, his worst hire thus far has not been Eberflus. It's been Shane Waldron. That was the god awful. It was the worst hire because you just got done with Luke Getsy and you've seen what kind of offense he ran, and you did all that time, spending all that time interviewing for him to get fired in 8-9 weeks. That was. When you had Seattle players telling us that this was going to happen, that was unbelievable to me, man.
Yeah. Just a bunch of misfires. At the end of the day, you can sit here and say, well, that's Matt Eberflus' decision. But once again, you double down by keeping Matt Eberflus, and you're sign off on everything at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think they could very well be a package deal. I know Bears fans are kind of 50-50 about it. Like I said, I think Ryan Poles has done a lot of good for this organization. But at the same time, he's also struggled getting the offensive line together as well here in Chicago. So that's another misfire on his part. So
right, absolutely.
So have to wait and see. Like I said, it's good. We still have 7 games left to play, and it starts this week against the Minnesota Vikings. They're 8-2. A huge surprise with Sam Darnold over there. Still fighting for the top of the NFC North. They've been a huge surprise. Obviously the Bears sitting at 4-6 after their 4-game losing streak. The Minnesota Vikings are currently the 3.5-point favorite at Soldier Field on Sunday. What's your initial reaction when you think about this matchup, Isaiah?
This sounds about right with the spread. I know Minnesota's kind of cooled off. Even though they're 8-2, they're not as explosive on offense as they were in the first 4 or 5 weeks. That's not to say they're still a really good football team. I think this is going to be a tough game for Chicago. But I'm interested to see how Thomas Brown does again, man, and play calling against them, and how Caleb continues to develop, man, because he was exciting to watch last week. It was like watching him at USC all over again, man. So I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. I think for me, my focus is no longer on wins and losses. It's about the development of Caleb Williams
Absolutely.
once again.
Right.
And this is yet another challenge. Minnesota Vikings defense is a top 10 unit, led by Brian Flores. And he is going to bring the pressure. He's not afraid to blitz you. So Caleb Williams is going to see a bunch of different things. They're going to try to confuse Caleb Williams. So it's really going to be a cat and mouse game. So I'm really excited to see the game plan from Thomas Brown and the Chicago Bears offense. And to me, that is really the only X factor about this game. I think if we see the same Caleb Williams in the Bears offense, I think this is a very winnable game for the Bears this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest about the situation. They've had opportunities to win almost every single game they played this year, man. It's just a lot of the times, man, it doesn't come down to the players aside from the offensive line, man. It's been a lot of the Eberflus who's just been atrocious in the last 4 minutes of the game, man. So hopefully they can overcome that this week and sneak out a W.
Yeah, and for me, I think our pregame shows have become shorter because I think we understand what the Bears need to do. You just mentioned it; they've been in every single game, right? And I think it comes down to coaching at the end of the day. Will Eberflus ruin another win for the Chicago Bears, or will he continue to make the same mistakes week in and week out? So obviously we're looking at Matt Eberflus, we're looking at the Chicago Bears offense. Obviously the Bears defense needs to play a little bit better. And once again, there's not going to be an easy matchup. You talk about Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the National Football League, right? They have Jordan Addison over there as well. So it's going to be a tough task. Like you said, they have cooled down a little bit. But once again, I think even with a loss to the Green Bay Packers, I think they took a lot of positives from that game. And I think it still gave them confidence in a way to come in here and possibly upset the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. I think this could be a trap game for Minnesota.
Absolutely. I mean, they're not feeling too much pressure in Chicago, so that they'll go out there at home and give them a game. I think it's gonna be a really close game, and they'll have an opportunity to win at the end. And if they finish it, man, that's a question that remains to be answered, man. So we'll see.
Right. So Isaiah, I guess we can just cut to the chase. Do you think the Chicago Bears come out with a win this week against Minnesota?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I do think it'll be close, but I think that loss I think hurt them mentally last week, man, because they were just so close, man, just to beat them and beating them fair and square. Like it was one of those games where they beat them fair and square, and they found a way to lose, and I think that hangover of that loss, just like it was in Washington, is going to affect them this week.
Okay, so you're thinking that's going to be the same situation. That after they lost to Washington, they threw up a dud against the Cardinals. You think it's going to be the same situation?
The hangover loss. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Obviously, I picked against the Chicago Bears last couple of weeks, right? And that's very rare. I don't do that, but I'm gonna give the Bears a win this week. I don't know why, but I think Caleb Williams played with a newfound confidence, and it almost made me feel like no matter the situation, as long as you have the quarterback, you have a chance to win a football game. And I think it does depend on Matt Eberflus. They will have a position to be in a position to win this football game. I'm going to say the Bears are going to win by a score 20-17.
What's crazy is in my head, that was a score I had for opposite, though. It was 2017. That's exactly what I had.
I think for starters, the Bears defense has to figure out how to get more pressure on the quarterback. I think, Sam Darnold's one of those guys that will give you a couple, but you have to be able to generate that pressure. They haven't been able to do that over the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited to see Caleb Williams and what Thomas Brown's able to do this week. I think he's going to start wrinkling in his own, flair within the offense as the weeks go along. And I think you're going to see more and more confidence week in and week out by our young quarterback and Caleb Williams. I think they come away with a very close win, 20-17.
I can see that happen. There's no doubt in my mind that I can see that happening. We'll see, man. I'm worried. I'm a little worried about JJ. After seeing what Christian Watson did to us last week. Yeah. So It's a
He's
tough.
on my
That's a tough
fantasy.
company.
He's on my fantasy team, so it's all good. It's kind of like a win or lose for me. If he
Right, exactly,
torches
yeah.
my Bears, at least I'm winning in fantasy this week, right? But
Right.
yeah, he's definitely a bad man. But yeah, it should be a good game for the Bears. There's no pressure at all at this
No.
point. And Bears fans should just be looking at the development of Caleb Williams. So Bears fans, go ahead and drop your score predictions of the Bears versus Vikings. You think the Bears can snap their 4-game losing streak against the Minnesota Vikings this weekend? We sure hope so. But Isaiah, as always, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
So Bears fans, as always, make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for our all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
Bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.